Hi, I'm Eileen, and this is my garden in southeastern Minnesota, Zone 4B, and it is the beginning of October. I had hoped to do a garden tour at the end of September, and we had a few days at the end of September, and actually today too, where it's almost 90. And I know that's probably normal for some parts of the country, but in Minnesota this time of year, that's kind of unusual. So I've just been kind of grumpy about it and kind of pouting and didn't want to come out here just because it has been so hot. And a lot of the plants are really done for the season. You know, they're already sort of heading back towards dormancy, and there's just a lot of things that need to be tidied up at this point. And I just really didn't feel like doing it in that heat. The good thing though is that before that little heat wave, we did have quite a few days of rain, which we really needed. And so the rain barrels are filled back up, which is great. And it did give some plants sort of a second wind, which is really exciting, especially the dahlias. So especially my dahlias that are planted in the ground really took advantage of that rain and some of the cooler temps we got before this little heat wave. So they're looking great. We're going to take a look around. This will be a shorter tour. And I haven't done any really good cleanups recently, so this is going to be sort of a warts and all look at what's going on right now. So let's go. Okay, we are starting at the gate per usual, and sure sign that fall is approaching are the undealt with yard waste bags. So things actually look pretty okay over here. The black lace elderberry is very happy with its new home, and I really love how it looks with the sedum around it. Most of the basil has gone to seed. There have been lots of mice climbing up the stalks and harvesting all the seeds, and Etta has been chasing them. I cut down quite a few of the sunflowers. I wanted this dahlia, which is Mai Tai, to have some more room, so there were a bunch of sunflowers here. Those are gone now. And then a few over here too I pulled out, and we'll probably be taking that one down soon as well. The things that are looking great over here are the butterfly bush. And over here we have another dahlia that's doing great. This is, I believe, Rip City, and this I just bought at the hardware store. So you can get cheap dahlia tubers from your hardware store and just plant them in the spring, and away you go. The cherry tomatoes are on their last legs, but like I said, this heat wave, oh man, has given us some nice end of the season tomatoes. Some more basil gone to seed. This was my favorite last year. Isn't that beautiful? I may have a new favorite, but I believe I'm going to wait and do a full dahlia rating once the season's over. We'll try to look at them as objectively as possible. Over here we have some pots that are just getting more and more sad as time goes on. But some things are very strong and are sort of my go-tos for pots, the salvia in particular, and the sweet potato vine is doing really well. There's a dahlia in here, that's another Rip City. It's doing okay, and then I do have a few dahlias over here. who did not survive the heat wave as well. And so that's partly environmental, partly me just being a boob and not watering as much as I should have right after we had all those rains. But this is Lollipop. Isn't that cute? I love that red color. And we do have over here drooping. This is Peach Fuzz, and this is why you stake your dahlias, because they will flop. But this one is beautiful nonetheless. This is Michaela Miranda. That's another one in a pot. And note to self, for me, this pot is a great planting pot for dahlias. It's just a big black plastic nursery pot, probably from a tree, but it worked great. I'll see when I pull the tuber out after we get a frost if it's gotten squished or not, but it seems like it's been pretty happy in here. And this one is Tapioca, which has always been a good performer for me, but these are the first blooms this year, so I'll have to look up and see if it is a late bloomer, but definitely will get some. I'm just kind of surprised I haven't had any blooms before now. And whoops, sorry, there's my shadow. Going over here, we have a lot of wonderful autumn joy sedum and this loofah that took all summer to get going and now has finally taken off, so we're gonna leave it. I'm really curious to see if any of these actually mature before we get a frost. But you can see it's reaching over there to the trellis, or my poor honeysuckle finally gave up the ghost. The Perennial Island is doing okay. This is Jennifer's Wedding, which when I got the first bloom, I really was unimpressed and I felt like it looked pretty much exactly like Rip City. But now that there's been a couple more blooms, it does look a little bit different. The coloring is slightly different. So I'm gonna hold off judgment for now. We'll come back to this when it's open and include it in our dahlia ratings. You can see this is all the black-eyed Susan. They did not last very long. The perennial onions are over, and back here, shade garden is just looking kind of tired, you know, it just doesn't look as verdant as it does in the spring, but that's okay. The chickens are due for a big clean out before winter. I do deep litter bedding, so they basically get fresh bedding once a year. And this pot with my banana is doing great. This was a very late in the season container planting, and so I just kind of stuck extra stuff in there, but it looks kind of cool. I'm really happy with that. These are Texas Scarlet Sage, a type of salvia that I got from a seed swap. So this is my first time growing a salvia from seed, and I'm really happy with it. So I will definitely try to save those seeds. And another dude who's doing well is this other butterfly bush. I don't remember what it's called. Yeah, I kept up with my watering pretty well for a while, but man, oh man, I can only handle so much. This is my new red bud, and she's really struggling. I've been very aggressive with the watering, and thankfully we got that rain, so I have faith that she will make it through the winter, but I will definitely be doing some more watering this week. This is a rose I bought this summer, and it's put on a second flush. Or third, maybe. I don't remember what this one's called either, but these just opened today. And back over here, we've got our cafe au lait. And you can see the other side of the vegetable patch. The tomatoes looking scraggly. But lots of tomatoes have ripened in the heat. I had so many green tomatoes about a week ago, and now they have ripened up, which is great. This is one of my other favorites of this year, this nasturtium. This was another one I got in a seed swap, and I only had a couple seeds, so there's really only 2 plants in here, I think, and maybe another 1 or 2 over there. And it climbs, which is really fun. Like it's climbing up this sunflower over here. There's my crispy corns. You can see the patio is in disarray. What happened here, you might ask? Who's to say? I do have this dahlia in a pot, and she's doing pretty well. This is Deborah Renee, and I've gotten some great flowers off of her. This one actually doesn't have any staking. It is in a pot that's leaning up against the pond, so there is some support, but this is sort of the exception. I also think that this one has fared a lot better because of its position in the garden. It is near the pond, so it gets lots of humidity, and that also probably cools the air off around it. And this time of year, it's not really in direct sunlight a lot of the day, and especially when we had a previous heat wave, it was shaded for the worst of it. So she's done a lot better. Oh, I really like this one too. How will I choose? It will be so tough. And we're back over here. This is the Marn. I can't get over. This is probably a spoiler, but this will likely be my favorite this year, beating out Mai Tai by a hair. I mean, just look at these together. Can you even? And with the verbena in here, I think this is a combination to keep. How about it? Yeah, they're just going off. Look at that. I don't know, is Cafe au lait gonna be my favorite, or is that too basic? Like I even care. There's just so much variety between these blooms. Like this one has this, you know, creamy pinky color, and this one looks so much more white. It's fascinating to me. Like this one compared to the bud next to it. So cool. But yeah, look at all the blooms on this one. I don't think I even pinched this orange one out. And it just all of a sudden threw up all these blooms. And I didn't really baby these, the ones that are in the ground. So that's a good lesson for me, is that next year all of my big dahlias, so these for sure, and then probably some that are in the pots back there, definitely Cornell, if it survives, need to be in the ground, because I should know myself well enough, and I'm just not going to keep up with daily pot watering, especially when it gets really hot and I don't want to be outside. We have our mouse hunter over here. Or maybe she's stealing tomatoes. Difficult to say. Yeah, you can see how many, they're just falling off at this point, and we have a whole counter full inside. So I'm not great at preserving any food that I grow. I tried to be a canning type person or even a freezing type person, and really the only thing that we have room for in our freezer is ice cream and frozen pizzas, and sometimes leftover waffles or ice cubes. So it's just not going to happen for me, and I've accepted that. Hopefully you will too. But the good thing is I just like growing this stuff, and so I'm happy to share it with people. Worst case scenario, it gets fed to the chickens. Etta loves to eat a tomato here and there. She really loves cucumbers. So this is just your friendly reminder that you, like me, might really love growing edible things, and maybe you don't like eating them, and that's okay. That's not to say I don't eat vegetables. I love eating vegetables, but the vegetables that I really love to eat the most, aside from tomatoes, are vegetables that I have never been able to grow very well. So I love Brussels sprouts and broccoli, and we eat a lot of that. And I just haven't had good luck growing it. And we eat so much of it that I just don't have the space to grow the amount that I would want to eat. So it's okay to just grow edible things because you like to grow them. Like, I love growing chard and kohlrabi, and I don't want to eat it. At the end of the day, this is a hobby, and it's meant to be enjoyed. So just remember, whatever you do, however you need to do it, is good enough. See you later.